So before I get started with today's video, I'm going to share with you something that I found called the 10 dumbest things said about San Bernardino. This is all politicians and elected officials, people, so enjoy.
Are we mature enough as a country to look in the mirror and say we have a gun problem? You know, a 12-step program starts with you got to acknowledge you have a problem. Are we mature enough to acknowledge that?
Then what could it be?
It could be some green group, four-line out.
And attacking a government function. If it's county employees having some type of a banquet there, that takes on more of a domestic militia group, an anti-government domestic militia group wanting to attack the government.
We can tell you that the Planned Parenthood actually of San Bernardino is only a few blocks away. We know how to fix it. Congress resolutely refuses to do it. But I think that
the president also, showing signs of the frustration we've seen from him so many times. He spoke at the funeral for the victims in Charleston. He spoke out in Washington State. He has spoken after Sandy Hook, always coming out calling for more measures to make it more difficult for people to have access to kind of weapons that can pull off these kind of mass shootings. It's been one of the great frustrations of his presidency.
Some may be aware of the fact that we have a no-fly list where people can't get on planes, but those same people who we don't allow to fly could go into a store right now in the United States and buy a firearm, and there's nothing that we can do to stop them.
in a situation like this, very often the perpetrators intend to commit, murder or suicide by cops. So whether or not there are armed guards there, it's not going to make any difference.
Does this go back to our revolution? We're revolutionary people. We really don't believe in government.
This was a holiday party. Maybe it was called a Christmas party. I mean, it's so many potential triggers here.
And there's always that voice that comes out and says, oh, this particular fix wouldn't have done anything about it, so let's do nothing. And that bystander voice is a voice of evil. Shooters are evil, but people who stand by and do nothing and say nothing can be done to fix problems, that's a voice of evil too.
Well, since these people, these rectal jesters that call themselves politicians, decided to talk about evil, I want to talk about something very interesting. This is going to be one of my more low-key videos. There is indeed a problem in America, people. I agree to a certain extent with all of these idiots. There is a problem in America. This country is divided into three basic groups. The far left, which you just saw 10 video clips of, that think private citizen ownership of guns should be completely banned, and that'll solve, mind you, an inanimate object, that will solve all of the world's ills. The far right, who think that a gun in everyone's hands will solve all of the world's ills. Both of those groups are absolute lunatics. Absolute lunatics. And then you have people like me who know that mental health and evil and crazy cannot really be legislated, but that's a good start. So how do we legislate that? Well, here's the problem. When we can't even agree on a problem, how are we supposed to come up with solutions? We as Americans have to come together and understand that there is a problem and agree on what the problem is. The problem isn't guns. The problem isn't too many or too little guns. The problem is crazy and criminals. No matter how many laws you put on the books, criminals don't follow them. So the left's theory of if we ban all guns, everything's good, out the window. Plus those guys had a truck full yesterday of IEDs that could have taken out 3 city blocks and killed thousands. So left, your argument's invalid. To the right-wingers though, saying that if we put a gun in every American's hand, then that wouldn't be an issue either. Do you see how unstable just the left-wingers are? We're not even talking about the real crazy people. Just the liberals, how unstable and violent these people are, and you want to put a gun in their hands? You're insane too. Now, I think the laws are fine the way they are, if not too much. California already has an assault weapon ban. California already had a magazine restriction, universal background checks, and a no-fly video list. And these guns were still purchased legally. proving that your laws don't mean anything. Evil and crazy will always find a way. We as Americans have to come together, unify, agree that there's a problem, agree on what the problem is, and then, and only then, with all of the great minds in this country, on both sides of the fence, can we find a rational, legitimate solution. But as long as we're bickering, too many guns, too little guns, my feelings are hurt, I'm scared, you're a pussy, you're blah blah. Sorry about the profanities. Nothing will get done. Agree that there's a problem. Figure out what the problem is. I can tell you right now, the guns are not the problem. Human beings have slaughtered and victimized each other since the beginning of time. To deny that evil and crazy exist is to deny human nature. It's akin to saying we live in a Disney movie. We don't live in a Disney movie. That's idiotic. So, we're aware that there's a problem. We're aware that the president still wants gun control. I found another interesting statistic I'd like to share with some people today. I'm going to be a bag full of statistics, and while I don't have exact dates, you'll have to roll with me on this one because it's interesting. This is since 1980. That's 35 years. Ronald Reagan was president for 8 years. There were 11 mass shootings and an attempted assassination of the president during that time. George Bush Sr., there were 12 mass shootings in his 4 years. That's one every 4 months. Bill Clinton, 8 years, 23 mass shootings, almost one every 4 months. George Bush Jr., 16 mass shootings. 8 years, that's one every 6 months. Oh, and the worst terrorist attack on American soil in the history of this country, or any for that matter. So, but we don't blame Bush for that, at least I don't. Barack Obama, on his second day in office, began touting gun control. Since he's taken office, there have been 162 mass shootings. Let me repeat that number for you. Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, and Bush Jr. Now we're talking 28 years of presidency. A combined 62 mass shootings. Combined in 28 years. That's a lot. Barack Obama's been president less than 7 years. Less than 7 years. 162. Try to wrap your mind around that, people. Is he responsible for them? Maybe. I don't know. See, here's where my problem with the mental health issue comes in. Who decides who's mentally fit and who's not mentally fit to have a gun? Doctors, obviously, right? That would be the logical choice. But the problem is, with this Affordable Care Act, who pays the doctors? The federal government. So we have a president with absolute power again. We can't have that. There is a rational solution out there somewhere. And when Americans decide to come together, we will find a solution. Until then, this will be the norm. This is going to be the way things are until Americans fight back. There is a way. I call on each and every one of you to fight back. To the victims and the families of the victims and anyone directly affected by yesterday's tragic events, my heart's thoughts and prayers go out to you. To the first responders who diffused the situation, my prayers and thoughts for your safety and continued safety. And to the rest of you, God bless America, but we gotta come together. This is out of control. Brooklyn out.